Hello, my name is Meiju. In this video I am going to show you how to make a tubular bind-off for knit to purl to ribbing. Normally tubular or Italian bind-off is worked for 1 by 1 ribbing, so knit 1 purl 1 ribbing, but when you do it for a knit 2 purl 2 ribbing, you have to first change the ribbing for knit 1 purl 1 ribbing. So here you can see the tubular bind-off for knit 2 purl 2 ribbing, so it looks exactly the same as in knit 1 purl 1 ribbing. And if you want to watch my tutorials for Italian bind-off or tubular bind-off for knit 1 purl 1 ribbing, I will put all the links to the tutorial videos in the description box below this video. This is my Dijon pullover from my book Contrasts. I will put also the link for the book where you can find the pattern for this pullover below this video. So let's begin. Here I have a sleeve that I have been working on, and I have worked knit 2 purl 2 ribbing here for the cuff, and now the cuff is long enough. So in order to get the knit 2 purl 2 ribbing match the tubular bind-off, we have to change the ribbing into knit 1 purl 1 ribbing. So here's how we do. We knit the first stitch, then we remove the next knit stitch from the needle. I will hold it with my thumb to prevent it from unraveling. I will slip the next purl stitch to my right hand needle, catch the knit stitch with my right hand needle, then slip those 2 stitches back to the left hand needle. Then I'm purling the purl stitch, knitting the knit stitch, purling the purl stitch, knitting the knit stitch. I have knit 1 purl 1 knit 1 purl 1 knit 1. Then again I have 2 knit stitches here next to each other, so I have to change the ribbing. I'm slipping the knit stitch, holding it with my thumb to prevent it from unraveling, slip the purl stitch to right hand needle, catch the knit stitch, then slip these 2 stitches back to left hand needle. Then I purl the purl stitch, knit the knit stitch, purl, knit. Then again I'm in the same position. I will go it once more through, and then we will just repeat this to the end of the round. So I will slip the stitch from the needle, slip the purl stitch to my right hand needle, slip the knit stitch to my right hand needle, then slip those back to the left hand needle. Then purl, knit, purl, knit. And this is how we repeat it to the end, to have knit 1 purl 1 ribbing before the tubular bind-off. And I will come back after I have changed the ribbing into knit 1 purl 1 ribbing, and then I will show you the tubular bind-off once more. One more word about the changing technique. You can use any technique that you want. The goal is just to give knit one purl one ribbing, so you can, for example, use cable needle or something else to hold this stitch here if you have difficulties to keep it there. Anything that you like that helps you to work it easier. Try different techniques, it will get easier after a few practice times. Okay, I will come back after I have worked this row. Okay, now I have finished changing the ribbing for 1 by 1 ribbing, so knit one purl one ribbing. And I start to bind off, so I will cut the yarn and make sure that it's at least 4 times the circumference of my cuff. I think it's now. And cut the yarn. Then I will thread it to my needle. I'm using a blunt needle, so it will be easier to bind off. Okay, now I'm starting to bind off. I will put a marker to the first stitch and 1 marker to the second purl stitch. This will help me at the end. I will need these markers at the end of the bind off. So this is the setup. I will first go to the first knit stitch knitwise, drop it from the needle, then I'm skipping the purl stitch, going purlwise to the next knit stitch, and I'm pulling the yarn through those stitches, and then I'm making sure that this marker goes in front of the yarn, and I'm pulling it tight like that. Then I'm going to the next purl stitch, purlwise, slipping it off, and then I'm keeping the yarn here with my thumb so that there won't be a gap there. Then I'm skipping the knit stitch from behind. I'm going to the next purl stitch knitwise. And I'm pulling the yarn, making sure again that the markers won't hold the yarn, like that. Then I'm starting to repeat. I'm going to knit stitch, knitwise, slipping it off, purlwise to the next knit stitch, pulling the yarn through, like that. Going to the purl stitch, purlwise, slipping it off, skipping the knit stitch, going knitwise to the next knit stitch, pulling the yarn through. Continuing. Knitwise to the knit stitch, purlwise to the next knit stitch, pull the yarn, purlwise to the purl stitch, skipping the knit stitch, knitwise to the next purl stitch. A few more repeats so you will see how the bind off starts to look like. It already looks like a neat bind off. It kind of disappears to the back side. Knitwise to the knit stitch, purlwise to the next knit stitch, purlwise to the purl stitch, knitwise to the next purl stitch. Knitwise to the knit stitch, purlwise to the next knit stitch, purlwise to the purl stitch, knitwise to the next knit stitch. I will continue this to the end, or 2 stitches before to the end, and I will show you what I will do with the markers. Okay, now I have only 2 stitches left here, so I have found off all the stitches here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to place these stitches that I have on markers on my needle. So I'm slipping the stitch on my needle, removing the marker, and I'm going to do this for the purl stitch too. And I'm making sure that the stitch is right side there, and it is. And then I'm going to work the final bind off. Knitwise to the knit stitch, purlwise to the next knit stitch, and purlwise to the purl stitch, knitwise to the next purl stitch, skipping the knit stitch. And then I can remove the needle like that, pulling the yarn there. And now, as you can see, the knit stitch is a bit looking like a bit wonky there, so I'm going to the knit stitch from the middle, putting the needle to the left side, and then I'm pulling it through like that. As you can see, it turns out quite nicely. Then I just thread this side, and I'm ready to weave it. Do the final weaving when I'm ready, like that. And this is how it looks. It looks like quite nice bind off. Thank you for watching this video. Happy knitting!